Hello all, welcome to the lecture name What we are going to build. In this course, we are going to discuss on what product that we are going to build throughout this course, and also we are going to discuss about the course agenda. So let's get started. The application that we are going to build in this course is called it as Udemy Course Tracker. Using this application, the students can go and track their interested courses dynamically rather than going into the Udemy homepage and manually checking the course prices. They can directly add the required course URLs into this particular application and keep a track on the prices dynamically. And that's exactly the idea of the application that we are going to build in this complete course. So let us go and see the functionality of the application. The application on loading of the home page going to display the default courses. Of course, this default courses also can be changed programmatically or in the view itself. And also, if the student wants to add their interested courses, they can go to the add or delete page wherein they can see the course details that we are bringing up in the dashboard page. Imagine if the student wants to add one more course. He or she can go into this particular text box and add it. Once that is added, they can move to dashboard page, which is automatically going to pick up that particular list of URLs that the user have configured in add or delete page, and make sure that a user or a student can delete the uninterested courses from this list and click on dashboard so that everything is in sync. And that's exactly what we are going to build using Angular 2 framework throughout this course. Having understood what we are going to build in this complete course using Angular 2, let us quickly walk through the course agenda. Of course, the course agenda is huge for this course, but we are going to discuss or see the gist of the course agenda. So we are going to start with Angular 2 basics, and we are going to discuss about what is component based thinking is all about. And then slowly we are going to move into the core components of Angular 2, which are services and dependency injection. Once that is understood, we are going to also see the directives, which again a core component of Angular 2 framework. And we're going to spend time on designing views with respect to Twitter Bootstrap framework. And we're going to see how to write or how to ask Angular 2 to make two components communicate with each other. And we're going to discuss about creating a form elements and custom directives and much more. And that's the exact idea of this complete course. We are going to build the Udemy Course Tracker application and also cover and understand all the technical aspects and the design aspects of building any Angular 2 application. So let's get started. Thank you. Hello all, welcome to the lecture name What is MVC? In this lecture, we are going to see what is MVC is all about and how one can get advantages of using MVC design pattern. So MVC is stands for model, view and controller. So before we going to see the fundamentals of a model, view, controller design pattern, we should understand that MVC is nothing but a design pattern. When I mean by design pattern, it means that it gives a solution for a common problem. We need to make sure that MVC doesn't adheres to any of the languages like JavaScript, Java, or even any other older languages like C or C++. MVC is just a design pattern in itself. A design pattern always comes up with a solution for a common problem, and MVC is used across different softwares that are written in variety of languages, and it's nothing but just a pattern. So let us discuss the fundamental of MVC as a pattern with respect to JavaScript world. So as we have already seen, MVC has a model layer. In with respect to JavaScript, we might be having a variable in JavaScript, say for example, var model is equal to some model, right? And we in JavaScript world, we have our view component or view layer, which will be written in HTML, right? Now we have model, we have view, right? And we know that model is the data on which the view is being rendered, right? For example, your view component might contain a table which is displaying the data that is available in this variable model, right? But there is one question unanswered, right? What if someone clicks on your view component? Is it the view component itself should respond to the events like clicking or signing out of your web application, or some other thing should be taken care. And that's where MVC design pattern says that you should be introducing an yet another component or layer, what they call it as a controller. And this controller is completely responsible for handling the events that are happening in the view layer, right? For example, if a user clicks on the view button, right, that event should be transferred from your view layer to your controller, and controller probably can send a request to server and checks, okay, if the user have clicked on sign up button, and server can send back some valid response to the controller, which might end up in updating the model itself, right? So controller then goes and updates the model. Now, the last part of the problem is when the model gets updated, who will notify the view, right? And that's again the yet another guy called controller, right? Controller is the one who is updating the model. Since he is the one who knows when the model is going to be changed, he can easily call up the view layer and say that, hey view, I have updated the model and this is what the latest model is all about. Here we go. I'm sending you the latest model and you can re-render it. As you can see, by separating out our components or layer or JavaScript functionalities into model, view, and controller, we can sort of segregate its separation, which results in easy maintainability of code and as well as easier testing and longer run good software product. So with this in mind, let us go and write a very simple MVC application in pure JavaScript. Thank you. Hello all, welcome to the lecture named MVC in pure JavaScript. In this lecture, we are going to build a very simple application using the concept MVC that we have learned in our previous lecture. The application that we are going to develop will be looking like this. This application is very simple. It has two buttons, namely button 1 and button 2, and below these buttons you can see two text, and these two text identifies or gives indication to the user at what time the buttons are being clicked. Currently when you load the application, the value will be no value. The moment you click on button 1, the text changes to the time in which button 1 got clicked, and the similar behavior has been attached to button 2 as well. So let us walk through the code that we have used in order to build this minimal application in pure MVC JavaScript pattern. So this is the home page that we are currently seeing over here. As we have discussed in our previous lecture, every MVC pattern should have a model. For example, with respect to the button 1 state, at what time it got clicked, it's nothing but a model. So that model I've been saved in a variable called button 1 state, and I'm setting the value to no value initially. So when the user comes to the page first time or refreshes the page, he or she will be seeing no value because the application doesn't have any clue at what time the button have been clicked, right? And I have another model button 2 state, which is a model for button 2 itself, right? So let us see the controller now, right? And the controller, as we have discussed in a previous lecture, comes into the picture for handling the events that are associated with the view. We have discussed the view is nothing but over here as in HTML, right? Index.html page, and view, as we have discussed in our previous lecture, delegates its event to a controller layer. I've just defined the controller layer in app.js. For example, on click of button 1, the view layer, in this case HTML, it's just sending its event to a controller layer or a function which you call it as button 1 logic, right? When this button 1 logic is called, as we have discussed in a previous lecture, it have to deal with the event as it knows what it needs to do, and at the same time it needs to update the view, right? Or as well as update the model if necessary, correct? So that's what exactly this button 1 logic does. Button 1 logic is a very simple function. It gets the current time and updates the button 1 state itself, right? Because if you remember from our previous discussion, controller is the one who is going to change the model of your application. Once it changes, At the same time, we need to make sure that view also is being updated. So the controller logic, button 1 logic, updates both button 1 state and as well as the button 1 view. And that's the whole reason when you click on button 1, you can see that this value is getting changed. And as you can see, we have done a very good job of building a very simple application in MVC terms. But the code and the function that we have defined for this simple application is all over the place. What I mean by all over the place is, looking at your index.html and app.js, one cannot say which model belongs to which view and which model belongs to which controller, isn't it? For example, imagine this button 1 logic, instead of updating button 1's model, it goes and updates button 2's model, right, which we have defined over here. Remember that this model belongs to button 2, right? After this blender, we can go and refresh the page, click on button 1, nothing gets changed. And this is a problem of maintaining or writing the MVC framework in plain JavaScript. And this is where frameworks like AngularJS comes into picture and help us saying that we will maintain or give the convention or give the architecture of using MVC patterns to you guys so that you can easily create web applications. And that's the whole point of next lecture. So I hoping that I've convinced that MVC in pure JavaScript is easy. At the same time, it causes a lot of overhead in the longer run. Thanks for watching the video.